Welcome everyone to our YouTube channel. My name is Eliza, founder of Mariposa Movement, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're enjoying our content, our DJ sets, our classes, our shares, be sure to subscribe, comment, like below so you can always be up to date on our latest music and all of our offerings. Today, I'm feeling inspired to share my story of how I ended up living in this incredibly beautiful, vibrant green place in Costa Rica. This was never part of my plan. I actually didn't even have Costa Rica anywhere in my brain or on my radar when I ended up moving here in 2018. And it was really a hero's journey, that moment in my life. I was living near New York City, where I was born and raised, and basically spent most of my life growing up. And I was living a really good life, a life that I was really proud of. I have been a dancer my whole life. I trained and studied dance professionally. I went to a really great school to study dance. I went to Columbia University in the city of New York. I became a dance major. I danced professionally in New York City and in San Francisco for many years. And then I came to a point where it just wasn't fulfilling me as much as it used to. And I was looking for really the deeper meaning in dance and in life at that time. And I discovered something called the Five Rhythms, a really amazing movement meditation practice that was created by a woman named Gabrielle Roth. Highly recommend checking it out. There are Five Rhythms classes all over the world, and it's a really amazing path and modality. And meeting and discovering the Five Rhythms really brought me back to the core of why I dance, which really is, dance has always been a spiritual practice for me, a healing tool. I grew up in a household with really, amazing, caring parents, but a lot of intense emotional energy in the household. And I didn't really have an outlet besides dance class to move that energy through. And so dance class became kind of my place of refuge, where I would go, where I could express, where I really just always felt like my true self, whether it was a technical dance class, or eventually, the Five Rhythms movement meditation, a place where I could just really experience the fullness and the bigness of my feeling body, my emotions, and a greater sense of wellness and ease in my body. So anyway, I discovered the Five Rhythms, which inspired me to go back to school for dance therapy. I was still in New York at the time. I went back to school. I earned my master's in dance movement therapy at Sarah Lawrence College. And it was honestly at times challenging to be studying dance and a somatic modality in an academic context that asked me so much of the time to be in my head. We did do body stuff, we did do somatic work as well. But I'm ultimately so glad that I did it. I learned so much. It gave me such a strong and practical foundation to hold space, something that, it carries over now to the work that I do here in the jungles of Costa Rica, hosting retreats, DJing events. I have a much deeper foundation than many other DJs and people that I know, many people that I respect. I'm not putting anyone down or saying I'm better than anyone. It's just that there's a lot of training and foundation and a strong root system of study and practice that supports the work that I do through DJing and dance and our training programs. So I went back to school to earn my master's in dance therapy, which led me into the natural progression of getting certified as a board certified dance movement therapist with the American Dance Therapy Association. That process takes a few years because, just like becoming a social worker or some medical professions, you need to do a certain number of hours of practice under supervision of from an elder in your field, someone who's already doing that. So I did that. I completed those hours. I earned my BCDMT, my board certified dance movement therapist status, and I was living my life just north of New York City, working in nursing homes primarily and in hospitals. I really fell in love with working with people with dementia because the shifts that would happen were just so meaningful when music and movement entered the space. It was really such a joy. I loved doing that work. I was building a business around that work. I really thought that was going to be my life path. But life had other plans. And as I worked in those contexts, those nursing home medical settings, I started to have physical symptoms. I started to have full on body aches all over. I was 32 years old at the time. And I felt so depleted, so tired, so heavy, so drained. And I literally started to feel like a 92-year-old. I guess, now I understand it, that I was just very empathic at the time. I didn't have a lot of tools to, move energy and understand that I was taking on other people's emotions, and it started to weigh me down, and I started to not only feel not so great, but I actually started to have some autoimmune symptoms, and it was a full on health crisis moment in my life. In addition to the body aches, I was having fatigue. I was starting to get some bizarre skin rashes and reactions. My nervous system was really speaking to me. My body was really speaking to me, and it catalyzed a dark night of the soul, a time of soul searching, of really asking into, okay, body, what are you trying to tell me? What's not in alignment in my life? What do I really want? And during that time, someone asked me that question, what does your body want? And the moment she said it, I was like flooded in a good way with imagery, such clear imagery of lush green forests that look very much like my background right now, and the ocean, and warm sand, and sunlight, and dancing with other women, and so many ingredients, elements of what my life actually is now. And what's amazing about that moment is that I wasn't like looking for any of those things. Someone literally asked me, what does your body want? And my body was like, here's what we need, right? The vision, the ingredients. And that was before I was even thinking about Costa Rica. And so I had that information now in my mind and my heart. And I went on with my day, and I went on with my life. And I started making Pinterest boards of waterfalls, of tropical waterfalls in beautiful places. And this was before I knew anything about manifestation, or how all that works. I was just like, it was winter in New York. I was tired. I wasn't feeling good in my body. And looking at these waterfalls would just like, lift my spirit, brighten my day, remind me of the beauty in the world. So I was just meditating on these waterfalls. And during that time, I remember I was driving somewhere. It was a dark, cold New York winter night. And I listened to this podcast. I don't even know how I stumbled upon it. And the podcast featured a woman named Sophia Tom, who lives in this area of Costa Rica and ended up becoming a really formative mentor for me at that moment on my path, and still to this day. And I was so inspired by her story. She studied dance therapy at Naropa, and she was using her dance therapy knowledge in a way that felt so alive and so primal, and so connected to the wild woman archetype, which was an archetype that in my life in New York, I had started to feel really disconnected from. And so I reached out to Sophia after hearing this podcast, and I asked her, I said, do you have any apprenticeships, any jobs opening? I'm feeling called to leave New York. And she said, actually, we have both. I'm starting a training soon, and we have a position at our retreat center that's opening up, next month. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I better come and visit and feel it out and check it out. So I went to Costa Rica for the first time in January of, I believe it was 2018. So this was, before the pandemic. In 2018, in January, I went, and Sophia was hosting a full moon workshop here in this part of Costa Rica. And I went, and I felt so at home at her center and just so alive here. My symptoms were, they eased up and lightened a little bit here with all of the elemental support from the sun, the wind, the waters. And I just felt such a yes. And in terms of making this next step, and I returned from that trip to Costa Rica. I returned to New York on, I think it was on a Sunday. And I went to work that Monday, the next day, at the nursing home. And before I even knew that I had the job at Sophia's retreat center, I quit my job at the nursing home, because that's how sure I was that even though I didn't know what was next, I knew that I had to leave my current situation and my current reality. That's how strongly I felt it. And so I quit my job that night. Sophia wrote me and said, we'd love to have you come. We'd love to hire you. And before I knew it, I was booking a flight to Costa Rica, a one-way ticket. And 2 months later, moving my life from New York to this beautiful region of Costa Rica. Now, I thought I would maybe be there a few months, 6 months. It turned into a year at that center. I traveled a little bit after that. And just before the borders of Costa Rica closed in March 2020, when COVID started happening and sort of descending upon the globe, upon the world, I ended up in Costa Rica literally 3 days before the borders closed. My intuition told me to come back here to this part of Costa Rica. And I'm so glad I followed my intuition because, for me, that really sealed the deal as far as location. And of course, we never know where life is going to take us, or what the divine plan has in store. But this part of Costa Rica has really become home. And I'm really happy to say that since following my heart and my embodied instincts, toward a place that feels better for me on a lot of levels, my autoimmune symptoms have disappeared and dissipated. Every now and then, there's subtle little hints and flavors of those symptoms, but I relate to them now. I experience them more as sacred messengers and friends that tell me when I'm out of balance or when I'm not getting enough rest or I'm, or just not fully in balance with my routines and habits. But thankfully, it's nothing like what I was experiencing in New York. It's not debilitating. And I'm so grateful to my body for really being that barometer of wellness. And I really believe that our bodies know and that all symptoms have a message for us. So if this story resonates with you, if you feel inspired by this story, I really encourage you, and especially if you're dealing with something in your body, I encourage you to ask yourself this question: what does my body want? You could dance before, you could do some breath work, whatever gets you out of your head and into your body. What does my body want? And allow what comes without limitation, right? Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about, oh, the money or the da da da, whatever. Just let yourself dream. Let those raw ingredients of what does my body most want right now for my next chapter, let it land and let the rest unfold. Put it out there to the universe. Universe, show me. And I promise you, you will be blown away because I really do believe that the universe conspires toward our wellness, toward our goodness, and that there are so many benevolent forces that want us to be well. So may this be your reminder of that today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching my story. I love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your response in the comments below. And again, subscribe to our channel if you enjoy content like this, and be sure to follow along for my next DJ set. Sending you so much love and blessings for healing wherever you are in the world, and may your path be open and clear and full of so much goodness.